Hello, my dear friends. Today, I want to share a story that can change the way you think about English. I want you to listen with an open heart and a curious mind. It is a path through struggle, courage, and breathtaking creativity. It is the story of a boy who learned to listen to people, to notice their fears, their jokes, and their dreams. You know some of his titles already: Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello. He turned those feelings into living characters. He placed them on a stage, and the world has not stopped listening since. His name is William Shakespeare. These are not only plays, they are mirrors. They reflect love and jealousy, hope and despair, kindness and cruelty. They show the best in us and the worst in us. They help us speak truths we cannot easily say. Many words and phrases we use today come from his pen. Yet he was not born into power. He did not attend a grand university. He began life as an ordinary child in a small town by a quiet river. Still, he became the most famous name in English literature. If you are learning English now, and words feel heavy, this story is for you. If you sometimes cannot find the right sentence, this story is for you. If you want your voice to be strong, honest, and clear, this story is for you. Stay with me till the end, because this is not only the life of William Shakespeare. This is a map for any person who dreams. William Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, a market town in the heart of England. The place had narrow streets, timber houses, and a gentle river. His father, John, made leather gloves. His mother, Mary, came from a farming family. Their home was busy, simple, and full of everyday life. Why does Shakespeare matter? Because he found a language for the human heart. He showed us how love can lift us and break us. He showed us how ambition can build empires and then destroy them. He showed us how doubt can swallow a person whole, and how forgiveness can set a prisoner free. He made kings and queens kneel to the same questions that trouble a baker or a soldier. He started with little. He ended with a legacy greater than gold. From Stratford streets to the stages of the world, his words crossed borders and centuries. This is the contrast at the center of his life. From humble beginnings to extraordinary influence. He was once just Will, a curious boy. He became Shakespeare, the voice of countless generations. William grew up in Stratford-upon-Avon, a small town by the River Avon. The wind brushed his hair as he ran, and the voices of traders and clatter of carts filled his ears. He soaked in the rhythm of daily life. He listened, always listening. At the grammar school, he studied Latin, history, and tales from Rome and Greece. The rules were strict, the benches hard, the hours long. But the books opened wide doors in his mind. Through them he met brave heroes and dark villains, gods and monsters, and love that risked everything. Writers such as Ovid, Virgil, and Plutarch planted seeds in his imagination that would bloom in his future plays. Life at home was not always stable. His father's glove trade rose and fell, and William overheard anxious conversations at night. He learned early that fortune could rise like the sun and sink just as fast. Yet Stratford gave him wonder too. Travelling players arrived with costumes, drums, and bold voices. A small stage became a palace, a forest, or a battlefield. William watched in awe, breathing in the laughter, the shock, the magic. Soon, he began scribbling little verses, copying lines, trying voices, and listening to quarrels and reconciliations. These were the seed years, when a boy discovered the music of language and the quiet power of silence. At 18, he married Anne Hathaway, 8 years his senior. Within 3 years, they had Susanna, then the twins Hamlet and Judith. Love filled the home, but so did pressure. His father's troubles deepened, and money was short. Stratford felt too narrow for his restless spirit. After the twins were born, William left for London. Historians call these the lost years, but we know this much. A poor young man set out with little but courage, sharp wit, and hunger to write. London was fierce. Theatres opened and closed with politics and plague. Crowds filled narrow streets. Writers fought for patrons. Critics mocked newcomers. One rival called him an upstart crow, a pretender to greatness. The insult stung, but it did not stop him. When plague shut the theatres, William turned to poetry. He polished each line, sending his words into the world. Slowly, actors spoke his plays, and crowds leaned forward. Some laughed, some wept, some went home changed. He won a place in a company, the trust of fellow players, and the craft of stage and story. But sorrow struck too. His only son, Hamlet, died young. The grief was silent but deep. It left a mark that shaped his later work. Out of loss, he found words that spoke light into darkness. William's turning point came with partnership and a home for his art. He joined a company of actors, later called the King's Men, and together they built the Globe Theatre by the Thames. Picture it. A vast round playhouse open to the sky. Apprentices and labourers crowded the pit. Nobles sat in the galleries. The stage waited for voices to bring it to life. For this space, William wrote with passion. He gave audiences histories of clashing swords and marching boots, comedies of clever tongues and foolish mistakes, tragedies of love that could not survive the world's cruelty. Romeo and Juliet broke hearts. A Midsummer Night's Dream sparkled with magic. Julius Caesar exposed power twisted by fear. The plays rose because the characters felt real. Princes doubted like students. Queens loved yet failed. Soldiers were brave in battle, but weak at home. On stage, they spoke what people often hid. As his fame spread, his craft grew sharper. He mastered silence and soaring speeches, laughter and sorrow, fast turns and quiet pauses. He was not just writing, he was composing. With success, he invested. He became a shareholder in the Globe and in his company. The theatre thrived, burned, and rose again. He bought property in Stratford, secured his family, and kept writing. For him, the story was always the true reward. In time, royal favour came. Under King James V, his troupe became the King's Men, honoured and protected. They performed for nobles in palaces, and for common folk in busy playhouses. William's pen grew bolder. He wrote Hamlet, a tale of revenge and doubt; Othello, a tragedy of jealousy and betrayal; Macbeth, a story of ambition leading only to ruin; King Lear, a storm of fading power and broken love; The Tempest, a final vision of forgiveness and peace. These were not easy tales. They asked, does revenge heal or destroy? Can love survive pride? Is mercy stronger than anger? His words cut deep. His images burned into memory. Time moved on. Friends aged. Theatres battled politics, plague, and fire. Yet the plays endured. Actors carried them on stage. Readers carried them in books. In 1616, William Shakespeare died at 52. He was buried in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford. No grand monument marked him then, only a simple grave in the town by the river. But his words refused to die. His friends gathered his plays in a great book, keeping his voice alive for centuries. From castles to classrooms, from parks to prisons, his works travelled the world. Soldiers carried them in packs. Lovers borrowed his lines. Children learned his speeches. Directors set his stories in modern cities or distant planets, and still they spoke true. This was his legacy. Not only fame, not only language, but an open door for every human being who longed to think, feel, and speak with honesty. My friends, what do we learn from Shakespeare's journey? He began with simple tools, an open ear, a watchful eye, and a hunger to learn. He faced limits, money, loss, doubt, and rivals. He stumbled, yet stood again, and kept writing. Line by line, step by step, he built his voice and his courage. If you struggle with English, remember this. Every strong voice was once a quiet one. Every clear sentence began as a broken draft. Do not fear mistakes. They are stones that build your road. Read stories. Listen to people. Try new words. Speak them aloud. Feel their rhythm. Keep a notebook. Catch ideas like birds. Don't wait for perfect. Write one line today, say one line today, share one line today. Shakespeare's life tells us something simple. You do not need a crown to speak with power. You need honesty, patience, and a heart that keeps going. In time, your voice will carry your truth. So take this story into your week. When you doubt yourself, remember the boy from Stratford who listened hard and wrote bravely. When you feel lost, let language be your lantern. And before you go, remember this: your story matters. Your English journey matters. If Shakespeare could rise from a small town to the world stage, then so can you. One true word at a time.